Okay, right. Well, we might as well crack on. Everyone's very
Sure.
excited to hear from you, Abbie.
Cool.
And I've been given a lot of questions.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Some of them might think of things as they go along as well that they want to ask
Yeah,
you,
sure thing.
talk to you about. Well, first of all, I'll introduce you. Everybody,
Okay.
this is Abbie Rial, and
Hi.
I'll let you take it in there. Who are you and what do you do?
Okay, so I'm Abbie Rial. I'm 28 years old, and I'm a full-time self-employed freelance illustrator based in the Hull area. I've been fully self-employed since 2014 when I graduated from the Hull School of Art and Design after studying animation for 3 years. And since then, it's been kind of a slow roll building up clients. But once you get that one commission in that really, like it's just like the big stepping stone into other stuff, you'll be like well on your way. So yeah. Have a range of styles as well, depending on whatever the client's into. I can do simplistic stuff, like really sort of intensive dot work stuff. Again, animation, I've gotten back into that recently because over lockdown I've invested in an iPad and been doing digital stuff. So that's been a bit out of my comfort zone, but totally worth it. Absolutely.
Okay, so everyone's had a chance to have a look at your galleries and things and seen the kind of work that you do. So you've just
Yeah.
mentioned you've got an iPad there. So traditionally, what do you use to create your works of art with?
Okay, so traditionally, I tend to just use the same group of things, and I have done for a long time. It's a mechanical pencil, just because the lines are a lot more precise, easily refillable. No mess, no pencil shavings. And one other thing that I have tended to start using is different sort of types of Unipin fine liners. These are great for like if you're using watercolors or marker pens, because the type of ink it is, it doesn't bleed. So like say if you use a lot of watercolors over some non-pigmented fine liners, it'll smudge and it'll bleed and it'll just sort of ruin your art piece in general. But yeah, it's usually pen and ink and let me see, there's a few next to me here, and Winsor Newton Pro markers and Posca markers. They're really good for highlights, and Copic markers if you're feeling a bit more extravagant. Yeah.
Okay, so what is an average Abbie day? What does an average day work consist of?
Okay, so usually I'll wake up around, I'll say 9 o'clock in the morning. Luckily, my desk is like literally right next to my bed, so I've got no excuse to be late for work. I get up, I sort of consult my commissions list in the morning, see which is sort of higher priority on the list, which has a less specific time frame to get done, and sort of go through there. I usually aim to get one commission a day finished, or at least a good chunk of it done. Yeah, so from about 9 till lunchtime, solid commission work. Wednesdays through Sundays, I stream over on Twitch, and that's at about 2 p.m. every afternoon, and that's been really interesting, like getting new customers and viewers in, and sort of just having that kind of format to also offer tutorials to people if they want to see it. And then on an evening, I'll tend to chip away at a little bit more work and get that prepped for the next day ahead. I've started deliberately taking Mondays off from doing any drawing whatsoever, just to rest my hand up, because I think about 2 years ago I managed to end the year on about 1,200 separate drawings, and I think I got to the point where I was just like, I'm overdoing it a bit. I need to maybe wind it back. Aye.
Okay, right. I'll dip into these questions now because you answered a few of them, but we sort of need to dip around. So you mentioned commissions. So I've got quite a few questions here about commissions.
Sure
So
thing.
the first question is that your main source of work, doing commissioned work?
Yeah, it's completely my main source of work nowadays. When I first got into being a self-employed freelancer, I did, because it was a very slow role kind of thing to get going, I decided that it'd be wise to take a job to like a part-time job to subsidize it as well. And it's quite funny because I ended up doing it on and off for about 5 years, but my subsidiary job in the beginning was a Christmas elf. Brands Home Centre. So you never know. Might have seen some of you when you were little kids. Who knows? I am fully self-employed now. It's been quite difficult with everything being cancelled, obviously, due to everything going on in the world at the moment, because doing the comic conventions around the local circuit, they were usually like my main earners for the year. So that goes back to me buying the iPad. I had to sort of diversify a little bit and think, right, I need a way of streamlining commissions for customers, as well as making myself more available to people. So I thought, especially with a lot of the post offices being in a bit of a disarray over that period, I decided to go digital, just to try it out for one thing, and also, yeah, just have that instantaneous feedback with customers, like, oh, I can change this, no problem, I can do that straight away. Whereas with pen and ink stuff, it's more like, oh, there's this one little thing you don't like, we're gonna have to like redo the whole drawing. But yeah.
Okay, so with commissions then, is there anything you won't draw or won't do? Do you turn any down ever?
Yeah, it's not very often that I've had to, but I think depending on certain subject matters that are very, I mean, like I do a lot of artwork for heavy metal bands and, you know, international projects, things like that, and a lot of the heavy metal stuff that can be a bit more, I don't know, adult, grotesque maybe, stuff that really crosses the line socially. I think we can probably gather a few ideas. I won't do that. I have been paid to draw more adult themed stuff before, and that's perfectly fine within reason. I tend to avoid doing very one-sidedly political stuff as well, just because that's easy to fall into that gap of like, oh, well, if you drew this, that means you must be this, and therefore that can sort of stifle some end of income. So I like to keep nice and open about stuff like that and maybe dial it back a little bit.
So how do people find out about you? How do people know to commission you? Because not everybody's on social media or at Comic Cons. How do people get you to work for them?
A lot of it has actually been like, obviously initially people getting in touch with me through either Comic Cons or events, things like that, and online. But the most part of it is word of mouth. So say a customer will find me online, I'll send 2 business cards along with the commission so they can keep one and maybe give one to someone else. And it's through that word of recommendation I've gotten a lot more subsequent work in. I think, especially with the social media side of things, though, I'll finish a commission for someone and they'll post it on their Facebook, tag me in it, and then depending on how busy they are on Facebook or how many of their friends see and think, oh, that's really cool, I'll get quite a lot of inquiries in. Maybe not all of them translate into commissions immediately, but at the same time, like it's a really good thing to have. Also getting your stuff in like local newspapers, things like that, just like taking out a little ad section, that's always worth it, going a bit old school. Definitely.
Can you tell us a bit about the different styles you work in then, so that, you know, we can get an idea?
Yeah. Let me have a think here. So I can I'll actually lift my webcam up and show you guys some of the stuff I've got up on my wall here. So this is the more caricature style stuff. So that's like more portrait way with the smaller cartoony bodies. That seemed to be really popular with people. I've got let's see, I've done more anime style kind of things along this line. I have to have a think here. I do a lot of like Japanese style chibi cartoony stuff. A lot of it featuring my cat at the moment. This is like a thing that I do on Twitch for my viewers. I'm just trying to think. I've got a lot of stuff here, but I don't know what to show. The pointillism work can't really. Maybe I can show you one of those, but the rest of the stuff in the book is a bit, you know, maybe a bit untoward. Let me think. Which shelf did I actually put this on? It should be here somewhere. Nope, it's gone for a walk somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay, I can show you the first page. The rest of it's a bit PG. So stuff like that, that's all done with like a single fine point marker pen, just like dotting it consistently and building up the entire image. Like there's a few more examples that I've done. Oh, you can see that a bit better now. So that's a pug skull that I drew. Yeah, stuff like that takes a lot more time. So obviously time and effort translates into how much I'll charge for stuff. I've got my iPad here. I can show you some of the animated work that I've done. Let me find a good one. Okay. Oh, here's one. So really simple stuff like that. Like there's a musician with his cats just nodding their heads. Very simple, really effective. Yeah, realism, I do that as well. Don't have the sketchbooks on me at the moment, but that takes a lot more time. And my most popular kind of stuff in general probably has to be like the really simple cartoony chibi style stuff like this, which has kind of been a little bit of a signature, especially at comic conventions, things like that over the past few years. I also do a lot of work involving pet caricatures. That's gotten really popular as well. That one's actually going towards a business that's starting up. I think it's a pet food kind of thing. So that's pretty cool.
How did you get to your own styles then? How did you develop your own styles? How did you make it yours so that it wasn't something that looked like it was something that's available in other books or by other people?
Yeah.
What makes it unique to you? How did you get there?
I think a lot of it, I think it's what any other professional artist will tell you. Like your style is an influence of every single thing you've ever seen or heard. Like everything in some way filters into what you're into. Like I used to be really into like manga books and things when I was a teenager, so that kind of line art style's definitely stuck with me. Just practicing drawing stuff, even if it's completely out of your comfort zone, gives you a sort of little insight into techniques and stuff that you think, oh, I don't quite like this about this technique, but if I try this, then this could work. That sort of thing. It's like the cartoony stuff I draw with the big blank eyes like that. They originally started out completely different. Like they had little starfish bodies with no hands or feet. They excuse me, someone's just walking past the door. Yeah, they used to have like really tiny eyes, and just over time, just through redrawing them and it developing by itself, the eyes got bigger, and that's why I have the big kind of blank thing going on. Yeah, it's just, again, it's like watching movies or the music that you're into, things like that. You just take little bits of everything that you're really into and it filters in. Like I have a lot of separate styles, but people have told me they can still like gauge that it's mine through it. And sometimes I'm not quite, because I'm obviously looking at it all the time, I can't quite comprehend what people mean by that. But it is pretty good to see. It took me a long time, and I can't offer like a finite thing of how it happens, but I think it is just a matter of like taking as much influences as you can from other things.
So there's a couple of questions that might lead on from that are a bit similar. So I'll put them together. So one of them is, how do you get motivated? And the other one is, do you do warm-up pieces before you start your commissions?
Oh yeah, definitely. I like to do the odd warm-up piece every now and again. It's just depending on what the piece is. Like if it's really simple cartoony stuff, I'll just practice by drawing different like poses, body shapes, things like that, different hairstyles, just to like loosen my hand up a little bit. With the caricature and portrait work, it's a case of what I'll do is I'll get a picture, any random picture of a face up, and I'll sort of look objectively like at it and try to work out all the simplified down shapes of it. So like say, okay, round head, the jaw's kind of got a square shape. I always tend to do like a triangle, like a long triangle for the nose, things like that. And it's just sort of working out and practicing different face shapes for that. So when you get into it, you can actually get more of a likeness down. I think getting likenesses down is very, very difficult. I have an example here, actually, something I've been working on today. I tried drawing Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden the other day, and I didn't do the warm up beforehand, so it looks nothing like him. It, you can kind of see it. It's not really there. But after that, I sort of stepped back, had a bit of a practice, redrew it, and it's definitely, he's a lot more there now. It's a case of, don't be discouraged if you get something wrong the first time. Just sort of keep it as an example of, okay, this didn't work, how can I apply that to the next piece now that I've seen how that doesn't work.
Is it difficult? Is it difficult to say that to yourself? Because we do often.
Very.
Students. Obviously, with the students, we can advise and tell them if something could be redone.
Yeah.
But we point out that in the future, when you're working, you've got to be responsible for telling yourself something can be redone. So
no, that's exactly it. Yeah,
is that a big obstacle to get over?
Oh yeah, when I was a teenager, I was very I don't know what the word is, like, not belligerent on the matter, but I was very like of the mind, like, oh well, then you draw it, like I know what I'm doing, and then I'd hate it afterwards, and then I'd get in a bit of a huff. But I think honestly, take people's constructive criticism. If someone's just flat out criticizing you, like, oh, that's rubbish, or things like that, what are you taking as a learning point from that? But yeah, absolutely. It took me a lot of years to get through that, and it was one of my tutors at university, a guy called Gareth Slightholme, who did the animation course. Yeah,
Gareth's actually our guest speaker next week.
Oh, I love Gareth. He's great. He's amazing. Oh my god. But yeah, best thing he ever told me was keep a sketchbook, because then you'll have your mistakes in there. And again, one of the most important things he taught us at university was sketching pen, so that way you can't rub it out, it's stuck there, and you have to face what you've done, like, right, this doesn't work, let's try this, and carry it on from there. Definitely. But yeah, I still get days where I've done a drawing wrong and I've wasted all this time on it, and I think, you know what, I haven't actually wasted time, because this is just a learning jump.
All right, there's a similar follow-on question there. Would be that quite often you might find that as a student you're asked to draw something or do something, but you're not very keen on it. It's not something you want to draw. Now you're working with clients, they could ask you to draw anything, and someone has actually asked you, what do you like drawing and what do you dislike drawing? And then I would also ask her, how do you do you actually see the joy of drawing as the main thing rather than what you're drawing? I
definitely think if you look at it that way and you take it as like, oh, this is a learning process, like you may not enjoy drawing something at first. Like I used to hate drawing faces. I used to hate it because I wasn't immediately good at it. But the fact that more people asked me to do it and I had to be forced to practice it, I learned to like really, really enjoy it. So I'd definitely say drawing like people and animals, definitely my favorite kind of thing. Obviously I like drawing skulls. I've got a shelf full of them over there. And one thing I really like, I think a thing that I really do tend to struggle at, which I really do need to practice more, like, and I'm putting this judgment on myself here, is like backgrounds and like anything mechanical I find really hard to draw. Like anything with straight lines that's really dense, or like if something has a really chromed shiny surface, like that's really hard to get right color wise. But I think one of my the biggest pains of my existence is like I love drawing for clients, don't get me wrong, but anytime I get a request and like, oh, can you draw me in an Iron Man suit, I'm just like, oh. Because I'm not very good at mechanical stuff. But again, I have to take that as, oh well, time to get the practice in again, I guess.
So a lot of students have asked me to ask you similar questions about actually working as a freelance illustrator, and it's sort of mostly along the lines of what are your top tips? What would your top 3 tips be if you wanted to become a freelance illustrator?
Definitely, I think with the modern day and age, make yourself an art profile on websites like, I don't know, DeviantArt. Be active on things like Instagram and Facebook. Like set yourself up a Facebook art page, invite your friends to it, invite your family to it, like do the odd drawing every now and again. Put it up there, get them to share it. You might get some interest in. When I initially started, I very much undercharged myself, but at the same time, it was a fairly decent way of sort of getting my stuff out there. and people recommending it back and just sort of slowly building it up from there. I would say, what's another one? One of my biggest recommendations, and I say this to a lot of people whenever they ask me this, is if you have a silly nonsense idea, say, I don't know, say if there's 2 things you're really into, like call it, I don't know, so if you're really into Doctor Who and you're really into some other completely separate TV series, and you think, oh, wouldn't it be funny if I cross this over or something like that? Or if you get a funny idea for a pun in your head and you want to draw that out, or just any sort of silly, daft, in joke, off the cuff idea that you had, draw it down, maybe put it up on your profile. Maybe you'll get a few laughs from it. Maybe people will share it about, and it just takes like the one right person to see it, and then that'll sort of snowball from there. Example of that being, I think it was about early 2018. Me and one of my friends were in the pub. We're listening to some heavy metal on the jukebox, and some Judas Priest came on. My friend says to me, "Oh, you should draw," because it was the song "Screaming for Vengeance." My friend said, "You should draw him with some ice cream because then it'll be ice screaming for vengeance." I thought, okay, cool, that would be hilarious. I drew that up, put it on my Facebook. A couple of friends said, you should post this on the Bloodstock forum, because that's like the big heavy metal festival that happens in the UK, and people get a laugh out of it because they're headlining. I was like, okay, posted it up on there. A couple of hours later, I get a message from a woman called Vicky, who turns out to be one of the organizers of the festival, and she says, really liked the drawing. How would you feel about drawing like the full band, and we'll give it to them as a gift? Like, on behalf of the headline, on behalf of the organizers. And I was just sort of blanked out for a moment. I was like, no, what? No, like that. And sure enough, that was a whole thing. And that's the case of, my career is like, from that point, my career really took off sort of in regards to getting a lot more clients in that I really want to work with. Like from there, I've done t-shirts for some pretty well-known bands. I've gone to festivals on behalf of stuff like that. A lot of networking. Oh, and networking, that's the third thing. Like, absolutely, like find other artists, swap ideas, find like local artist groups on Facebook. Like there's some that my friend Alan runs, called, I think it's something entirely different, or and like the One Hull of a City group, that's pretty good. And like setting up like a local group of like-minded artists and helping promote each other's ideas, finding clients, things like that. Like networking is another one of the things that Gareth taught me was like super important. It is like half of it is putting the work in, but half of it is doing the networking and finding yourself those customers. So you know, use as many opportunities as you can without being obnoxious to promote yourself, and get some contacts in, whether that's directly within art or like people, say, who run a business who could use your work or something like that.
That's great advice. Right now, I believe you have got a bit of a workshop for us. You're going to show us a technique.
Yeah, sure thing. I'm
brilliant.
just going to have to right, I'm going to have to put the camera on a tripod.
And hopefully, if people enjoy this, they might like to go along to your Twitch as well.
Yeah, twitch.tv/Abbie Art. It's a good time. Right, okay, I have to try and set this up. I originally was going to just tilt it down, but then it was a very weird angle. So, okay. Let me just get this 1 second. Screw that down. Okay, I'm going to have to twist this the complete other way around because I realize I can't actually... Wait, can I mirror this? No. Okay. I'm going to have to do this a bit of a funny way around, but that's fine. Let's okay, let's go here. You have to excuse me, I suffer from messy desk. Right, okay. So hopefully you can all see that. I can actually maybe shrink, wait, let me try to shrink this down a bit. This is you'd think after a year of streaming I'd have a much more streamlined setup, but nope. Okay, so here we go. Right, so this is a character it's mirrored, so that's going to be a bit funny to try and work out. But yeah, so here's a character I've pre-drawn just to give you an idea of some of the style stuff I did. Drew this morning after I got woken up by the fiber optic broadband guys drilling the road outside, hence the angry face. But yeah, so it's just a tip on what I generally tend to do when it comes to skin tones and things like that. with these cartoony style commissions. I'm gonna just put this desk light on as well so you can see that. Smashing. Okay, so what I tend to do for a flat layer is, especially with pro markers, I don't know if this is actually mirrored on your screen or not, but
we see that.
Yeah, so that.
Good,
Oh,
yeah.
you see it the right way around, so that's
Yeah.
fine then. Yeah, so this is Winsor Newton Pro markers. They're very good value for money. You can buy them in multi-packs online. A lot of art shops like Hobbycraft do discounts, things like that. But this is the general sort of set of skin tones that I use to make a nice blended effect. So first we start off with the putty, and we're just gonna fill all that in real quick. And the good thing about these is, especially if they're a fresh pen, like the color goes down really flat. I would recommend if you use these, use a thin grade paper, because anything super thick is just going to suck the ink up and make it go really patchy. And you want it to be nice and smooth. So let's go this way like this. It's interesting doing this like on demand in front of an audience again after not being at Comic-Cons for so long. Oh dear. Okay. So we've got that bit done. We just got to wait a few seconds for that to dry, and then we can go over with the next tone. So I always like to use like a light tone for the base, and then I go in with a mid-tone, which is more of like a orange hue, just gives it a bit of warmth. Yeah, that still needs to dry. You can see how it leaks through the paper as well. Had a very interesting interaction with a customer once where I mailed their commission through. They loved it. It was great. They sent me a message when it arrived in the post, and they're like, I don't want to complain because you're a very good artist, but it's arrived with no lines on it. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they'd obviously opened it and not like turned so I said, maybe flip it over, maybe. And then she sent me a message going, my bad. That was fun. That was good. But yeah, so we should go down with like a slightly orange tone. Hopefully you guys can see this. And we now sort of with this, we try to take the 3D aspects of the face into shape. So obviously that's a furrowed brow, so you have a little bit of a dent in there. These are the regular pro markers. You can get brush tip ones, which I do recommend a lot more if you're wanting really smooth blending, especially if you're doing like hair. So let's see. Bring this around like this. See, you can really see how exaggerated the angry brow is now. I think one thing I would recommend as an artist too is even if you're doing like a really cartoony art style, it's definitely worth doing like observational drawing and life drawing, just so you can get more of a concept of how physicality works, and that way you'll learn how to manipulate it more effectively when you're doing stuff like this. Like obviously these cartoons don't have noses on, but I managed to work that to its advantage somewhat. Like people have gotten so used to me drawing these without noses now, whenever I actually do, people aren't used to it and they're like, oh no, don't like change like that, that's weird. Okay, so we'll just do the face for these bits, and actually, you know what? Let's just quickly do these. Yeah. Oh, one thing I will recommend as well. I think I mentioned it to you yesterday, Andrew. Is there's an ex-Disney animator who worked in the industry for 25 years, doing a big discount on his website at the moment. I got his character design course off of there, and honestly it will definitely give your artwork like a big leap, especially if you're doing specifically character based stuff. Yeah, it's just it's taking into the consideration like the how to sort of see what's there and manipulate it into an effective way, definitely. And the next tone we're using is the tan color, so that's like a slightly darker version of the skin tone, and that just adds a little bit of depth into it like this. So you obviously do that a bit less than everything else, so it's just a bit more exaggerated.
Are you leaving the same amount of dry time as well between each different color?
If you go a lot quicker into it, like say if the layer underneath is still wet, it'll blend out a little bit more. If you're wanting it a bit more crisp, I would recommend leaving it a little bit longer, just to make it a bit more solid against the background. Like especially if the tones are really close anyway, it might just end up looking a little bit muddy.
And is there a point where you've left it too long? to
Oh
blend.
yeah, definitely. And then that sort of itself takes a little bit of like reworking with the other two tones from underneath to try and blend it in a little bit. You can get this is a fresh pen. You can tell because look, it's dripping a little bit. That happens sometimes. Oh dear. Right, let me just wipe that off on here. Yeah, sometimes when you get these markers, because this one's absolutely fresh out the pack, so sometimes they may do a bit of a bleed and a drip like that. So you just have to like use your best judgment with it, really. There we go. But yeah, this is a combo that I've been using for a good few years now. It's just you don't have to use this exact combo of colors, but if you find just like a good set of tones that works for you, then that's great. It just depends on the kind of skin tone color that you're after. Okay, so we'll leave that a few seconds and then we'll go over it with we're gonna exaggerate like how the expression on the face is. So like obviously angry forehead, and when you get angry you kind of have a red face, so we're going to use like a pink tone to kind of make it look like obviously the blood's coming to the surface of the face, and it's just the little subtleties like that as you build it up, excuse me, definitely make it more successful. So like this, well, it's still quite wet underneath, this will blend out and that'll be like a nice simple blush effect. And the same with the forehead here, you don't want to do it over the whole forehead, but just like the bit around the brows where you like concentrating very hard. And one thing I would recommend for eyes, I can't remember which particular artist I got this advice from. I spend a lot of time watching art tutorials online, like most days. I always like to try and learn something new every day that I can apply to my own work. But if you're doing eyes in particular, they're not actually like completely flat and white when you look at them. There's obviously a few different shades to them. So what I tend to do if I want to make the eyes pop is I get a gray tone and I kind of just do it about halfway down like this. And you can see the difference with this because this is actually a brush tip. So you kind of go over like that. So that's a little bit shaded. Give that a few seconds, then you go down with the next gray tone in the pack. This seems a bit deep at the moment, but once it dries, it'll actually lighten up. That's one thing with these pro markers as well. A lot of people are put off because when you first use them, the colors don't go down really dark, but they do dry like a lot lighter than they go down. So that's just something to keep in mind. And when it comes to highlights on the face, I definitely recommend using Posca paint markers with a thin tip. It's acrylic paint within like the medium of a marker pen, which is great if you're wanting accuracy. I can also recommend doing like doing it with a white gel pen, that kind of thing. But you just sort of try to suss out where the light's going to be hitting the eyeballs, and then you just put little bit of white over that, and you see like that makes the eyes really pop, I think. So that's something I discovered by accident. I was working on a commission for someone. I was writing something else on a different piece of paper with a white gel pen, and I dropped it. It dotted on the page, and I went, "Oh, hang on a minute, that looks all right." So happy accidents are a big thing you can roll with as well. Definitely, absolutely. Yeah. How much time have we got left for this? Because I can do a quick hair tutorial.
Abbie, it's completely up to you.
Oh, okay, right.
Your time's precious. It's up to you.
Okay. Okay, let's try this. So we're gonna quickly like go over the hair. This isn't going to be completely accurate to my hair color. I don't know what it is in lockdown these days. Desperately needs dyeing, but so we're just going to quickly go over the hair, and I'll do one strand just to give you an idea. But again, with the skin tone and like other bits of the characters like this that I do, I tend to pick 3 tones out when it comes to shading, like the lightest tone, the mid tone, and the darkest tone. I try to keep that consistent with all the layers throughout it, depending on how dramatic I want the lighting to be. So let's see, we'll just cover over this. You see, you have to work pretty quick with these because they go down pretty wet, but they do dry pretty fast. And you don't want that kind of streaky middle line that you tend to get when you use stuff like just simple felt tip pens. But yeah, I used to be very slow at drawing, like incredibly tediously slow, but my old art teacher from secondary school, Mr. Martin, he sort of worked it into me to get a lot faster at drawing stuff like this. And now I can get stuff like this done like relatively quickly if it calls for it. So we're just going to give that a few seconds to dry, and then I can show you the next bit of it.
What kind of stockpile of pens do you have, Abbie? Have you got how many pens of the same have you got ready and waiting in case?
Oh crikey, that's too many. I literally have a cupboard full of about. Okay, I'm gonna tilt the camera this way just so you can see something. So that long Amazon box behind me, that's what a friend sent me the other day, and that's got about 100 marker pens in it. Let's see, I've got a cupboard full of marker pens in there in the other part of my room. That's got about 10 bundles of grey markers in. I've got a few in the cupboard behind me. I've got a big stock of them downstairs because it's a case of I always forget to order like the ones I desperately need, and then I over order, and then I think, oh, that's a colour that I haven't tried yet, and it's just sort of built up through there. And at one point I was thinking that if I'm using this much, I need to think of something constructive to do with the empty like pen shells. So one idea my brother had was make myself a Game of Thrones throne, but out of like used up marker pens. So that might be a thing I eventually do.
So that. Do they store
okay,
or do they store okay, or do they dry up if you don't use them, or if you have them hanging around?
Oh no, they're absolutely fine. If they do recommend you store them horizontally as opposed to like upright or downside like that, just because it helps the ink kind of keep in the middle and not suck away from one end of the pen. They do store okay. There's plenty of different methods you can use. Like I've got a lot of cases that you can just slot them in with elastic, that kind of thing. I'm currently in the middle of commissioning another artist friend of mine. Their mother does leather work, and she's going to be making me like a like a bandolier that I can slot pens in. So that's going to hopefully be debuting at the next Comic-Con.
Excellent.
Yeah, because all the other ones I was going to do have been cancelled this year, so I'm looking forward to the next one, definitely. Okay, so this is a brush tip pro marker. I definitely recommend these for doing hair because it just gets that nice fine flick that you want when you look like this. So you see, look at that. That gives you sort of like a mild impression of hair texture. Let's see, we can do it like this. And I tend to, when I'm doing hair, I work out which bits of the hair are going to be sticking out the most and obviously catching the most light, and which bits are sort of curved inwards like that and obviously not getting as much. So stuff like that. I tend to keep that going the whole way round like this, and you can see as you get more in, you can see the texture of the hair starting to build up. I definitely find like doing tight curly hair is a lot more difficult than say a lot looser hair like that. Like the amount of times that I've drawn Bob Ross and it's not quite looked right because I can't get that like fluffy hair texture like just spot on. But I think if anyone's ever stuck for ideas, one thing that I've found that really helps and is a lot of fun is you put a list together of, say, different characters from anything and everything, like TV, movies, cartoons, things like that. And you number them all, use a random number generator to say pick 2. And with those 2 that you get given, you have to try and make something with that. So like maybe you cross them over, maybe you put them in some sort of silly scenario, things like that. It's just it's just interesting to try and do stuff like that. I have a thing on my channel where I have a list of birds and I have a list of different mammals, and every now and again I'll roll the number generator, and whichever 2 I come across, I have to draw that as like a mythical creature. And I think one of the best ones I got was a a budgerigar and a beaver. That was pretty interesting. Okay. So I'll just leave it at that bit for now. You can kind of get the idea with that. So with the last bit, I'm gonna get the darkest tone for this, which is gonna be black. And then we're just gonna, even less than that, we're just gonna accent the more tucked away bits of the hair like this. So you don't even have to do as many strokes on it, just to give it like that texture like that. And you have to think like this bit here is behind the head, so you want that to be a bit darker because it's obviously further away from the lighting source, which we're imagining is at the front here. And you know, there you have it with that. Sometimes I like to use the white marker again, just to add a few little sparse highlights on the hair, really give it that shiny kind of effect, like this. And yeah, oh, one thing I'd like to do as well, especially with the cheeks, is whilst the paint's still wet, I just smudge it out like that, so it makes the cheeks shiny but not like too much. You know, so it just really over exaggerates things like that. So I'll just hold that up so you can all see it a bit better. And yeah, there we go.
Fantastic.
Ah, you're welcome. Okay. So I can unscrew that and put my camera back up now without like knocking everything. Oh, here we go. And there we are. Smashing. Okay.
That's been absolutely brilliant, Abbie.
Oh, you're welcome.
I love that. So do you want to tell everybody again where they can find you on Twitch and where they can find your stuff so that they can maybe start following you and, you know, learn a bit more? And
yeah, sure thing.
Their own time as well.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/AbbieStabbyArt. It's a nickname I got given about 10 years ago. It just kind of stuck. Facebook.com/AbbieStabbyArt. I'm also on YouTube, and that's just Abbie Stabby. Same with Instagram, Abbie Stabby on there. I post a lot of progress work on there, as well as finished pieces, pictures of clients with the work, as well as lots of pictures of the cat, because who doesn't love that? Really, it's nice to have a mascot with your work. I think a lot of artists nowadays definitely have started including like their pets, or you know, something relative to them as like a little mascot for their work, and it's nice for people to interact with and engage with. So yeah, that's one thing.
Fantastic. And a few of these people might also come and meet you at Rial and the Comic Cons.
Yeah,
well.
brilliant.
So,
can't wait for that.
So anyway, really thank you very, very much for giving up your time. And
it's all right.
And I'll let you know the results, and
okay, cool.
We'll keep in touch. So thank you very much, Abbie. I'll just
no
I'll
worries.
try and I'll turn around and see if you can
okay.
Do lot wave to Abbie. Can you see that?
Oh wow, that's a lot of people. Hi.
You're all over the block. Anyway.
Oh wow. Oh
so
wow.
Thank you very much. We look.
You're very welcome.
Brilliant. Thank you, Abbie.
Awesome.
I'll send you a message in a bit.
Sure thing. See you later.
Cheers.
Bye everyone.
Bye. That was good, wasn't it? I liked that. Where's my recording? That's what I want to know now.